So after I got back from my trip to California, I was in my art studio in Scottsdale, Arizona, and I had another little trip planned. And that trip was to Atlanta, Georgia, to visit some family members that I had never met. Now, my mother had passed away in 2004, and after she passed away, I had started writing letters to her sister, my Aunt Doris, who lived in the South. And there was this whole family I'd never met on my mother's side. I mean, I met them when I was tiny, but I'd never met them since I was a child. And when I went to China and I went to on various travels, I had written my mother's sister because I kind of felt like when my mother died, her sister was left alone, and it was my responsibility to continue that relationship so that my Aunt Doris wouldn't feel as much the loss of my mother. So I had written her all these letters, and I got an email one day, and it was from my cousin Terry, a person I had never met or spoken to. And my Aunt Doris had passed away, and Terry had read my letters. And she just said that the letters had given her mother great pleasure, and I guess thanked me for writing to her. And we started emailing. And here I met this wonderful woman, and I had never met any family, and it was just this joyous thing to realize that there was a whole family of people I'd never met, and this was a thread of connectivity. This was a little door to one of the rooms in that lonesomeness realm of not feeling connected to very many people on a deep, loving level. So we set up a trip where I would go to Atlanta, Georgia, meet my cousin Terry and her husband and her children and my other relatives, my other cousins. So we did that. I flew to Atlanta. I met this whole family. I fell in love with Terry, with her husband Travis, I guess it's my niece, my cousin's daughter. I don't know what, she's my niece, Maggie, and their son Travis. And I just instantly clicked with them, and I felt immediately at home, and I felt like that was one candle I lit to light up that room of lonesomeness that I spoke about earlier. So I went back to Scottsdale, back to my art studio and my business, and I thought to myself, something's coming, and I felt it was coming soon. And that's when I mentioned to a friend of mine. I had just gotten in contact with a friend named Sherry I'd known 30 years before. And she had emailed me, and apparently she was wintering every year, 6 months out of the year in Mexico and 6 months out of the year in Colorado, and they were going to be traveling down to Mexico, passing through Arizona, and she wanted to see me again, and I couldn't wait to see her. And they said, why don't you come to where we are, and we'll be your little transition team, and we'll help you adjust to, and they explained it was very primitive, no services. You're going to live the way the poor indigenous people live. And all of a sudden I just knew. I thought, that was it. That was it. That was my pair of wings. That's what was gonna be the door that opened for me. And I said, okay. And from that moment, I just started telling everyone around me I was leaving. I started zipping up unfinished business at Scottsdale, and my two beloved items my mother left to me, I put in my daughter's care, and I left my car with my daughter, and I packed a couple of suitcases and moved out of my house, and here I am. So it's as if I stepped on a merry-go-round that twirled me around and spit me out on the other side of the world. And my goodness, ever since I've arrived here, it's an unexplainable, unbelievable experience to just be, to where your job is to wake up in the morning to to the cacophony of braying donkeys and crowing roosters and clucking hens and children and maybe Mexican music blasting at the crack of dawn 30, I like to call it. But you wake up and your decision is, do I open the door and the window? Is it time to put the mosquito net up? Or do I roll back over and go to sleep? And to ask yourself, am I thirsty or am I hungry? Or do I just want to lay here and think, remember my dreams? And when you are finished with whatever your decision is, you just get out of bed and you drink some water or you walk outside. And there's no giant meter running. I feel like I've been living on a chain to this giant life meter, like a parking meter. And I just had to keep putting coins in. And I couldn't, it's like I couldn't do enough work to earn enough coins to ever satisfy that beast. It just kept running, and even after my car was paid for and the rent was paid and everything was done, the beast was still turning and turning and turning. And I thought, I'm working so that I can have this home, so that I can house the possessions that I need to work. And it just became this, I realized it's this giant circle. And if I wanted to be free to just experience life, even if for a little while, I needed to unchain myself from the meter, the giant meter. And here, I don't hear it ticking. I don't have to put coins in it. I don't have to manage it. I am not a slave to it. And what that means is there's an entire gigantic space of peace in my head where I can just hear my thoughts, be who I am, and listen to what's going on in my own inner being. So there's a new meter running, and it's a silent one, and it's my time. It's my time, it's my creative energy, it's my heartbeat. That's the new meter. And so I think coming here has allowed me to really, I'm just now starting to get it, to just be, to listen to my own, I guess you'd call it my biorhythm. And yes, I get up and I write in my book and I walk to the beach and I go get food, and everything you do is work. If you've ever wondered about the poor, the poor are tired because it's work from the minute you get up to the minute you go to bed. You wash yourselves, you do the laundry, you walk to a bathroom, you walk up the hill to the store, you lug groceries home in a bag. There's no giant refrigerator, there's no washing machine. Everything takes work. But you go at such a slower pace and you still have this endless supply of time left over. And it's a wonderful gift. So I'm here to share that gift with you and to share everything I learn about myself in my being able to have that gift. And I hope and I pray that something that I experience here somehow gifts you with something in yourself that feels great and that makes you happy.